village nestled between mountains and forests, there lived a humble young shepherd named Kofi. The village was known for its hard-working people, but Kofi stood out for his kindness, honesty, and devotion to God. While others sought wealth and status, Kofi was content with his simple life, tending to his sheep and caring for his widowed mother. One evening, as Kofi sat under a large baobab tree, watching the sunset with his flock, he noticed a strange light in the distance, near the edge of the forest. It wasn't the light of a fire or a torch. It was something softer, almost like a glow. Curiosity sparked in Kofi's heart, and though the villagers often warned of spirits lurking in the forest at night, he felt drawn to it. He gathered his courage and followed the light. As he approached, the air seemed to shimmer, and standing before him was an elderly man, dressed in a white robe, holding a staff made of pure gold. The old man's eyes were bright with wisdom, and his voice was deep and soothing. "Elder, Kofi, I have been watching you. Your heart is pure, and your faith is strong. The Lord has chosen you for a special task." Kofi, surprised and humbled, knelt before the elder. "Kofi, who are you, wise one? And why has God chosen me, a simple shepherd?" "Elder, I am but a messenger of God. There is a great drought coming to this land, and it will last for 7 years. Many will suffer, crops will fail, and rivers will dry up. But God has chosen you to lead your people through this trial. You will guide them to a hidden well deep within the mountains, a well that never runs dry, and you will protect them during the hard years." Kofi's heart raced with doubt and fear. "Kofi, but I am only a shepherd. How can I, who have no great wisdom or strength, save my people?" The elder smiled kindly. "Elder, God does not choose the strongest or the wisest in the eyes of man, but the one whose heart is aligned with his will. As it says in 1 Samuel 16:7, the Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Fear not, for the Lord will be your guide." With that, the elder handed Kofi the golden staff. "Elder, this staff will lead you to the well when the time comes. Keep your faith, and God will provide." The elder vanished into the night, leaving Kofi standing alone with the staff, his heart still trembling with the weight of the task ahead. When Kofi returned to the village and shared his story, many of the villagers laughed. Villager 1: "A hidden well? In the mountains? Impossible." Villager 2: "Who is Kofi to lead us? He is just a shepherd boy." But Kofi stood firm, trusting in the message he had received. He continued his daily life, watching over his flock while keeping the golden staff hidden. As the years passed, the rains stopped, and the once fertile land became dry and barren. Crops withered and rivers turned to dust. The people began to despair. One day, as the drought tightened its grip on the village, Kofi knew the time had come. He took the golden staff and gathered the villagers, urging them to follow him into the mountains. "God has promised to lead us to a place where water flows eternally. Have faith, and we will be saved," said Kofi. Though many doubted, the desperation of the drought left them with no other choice. With Kofi leading the way, they journeyed into the mountains, trekking across rough terrain, driven by the hope that God had indeed chosen Kofi to guide them. For days they walked, with little food and water, until at last the golden staff began to glow in Kofi's hand. It guided them to a hidden cave, tucked between two towering cliffs. Inside, they found the well, deep and filled with crystal-clear water. The people rejoiced, and their faith in God's provision was restored. The villagers said, "We doubted you, Kofi. We doubted God's plan. But you never wavered. Truly, God has chosen you to lead us." Kofi, humbled and grateful, knelt by the well and prayed. "Kofi, it was not I who led you, but God who made the way. Let us never forget that His plans are higher than ours, and He provides for those who trust in Him." The village survived the drought, thriving from the water of the hidden well. And from that day on, Kofi became known as God's chosen, not because of his strength or wisdom, but because of his faith and obedience to the Lord's calling. He continued to serve his people with humility, always pointing them back to the God who never failed them. And so the story of Kofi, God's chosen shepherd, was passed down through generations, a reminder that God can use even the simplest of people to accomplish great things. as long as their heart is faithful and their trust is in him.